Remember summer 2012 when your phone was full of playlists titled Feels? When Vans were scuffed, hair was dyed green in defiance, and your room walls knew every lyric by heart. The Warped Tour heat, the eyeliner running, the bass drop right before the crowd screamed Tay Jardine's name. Our world spun around a blur of wristbands, tears, and that one song that hit harder than you'd ever admit, Rumor Mill. They weren't just another pop-punk band screaming their brains out. They were We Are the In Crowd, the heartbeat of every teenage misfit who swore they'd never fit in. But then, they disappeared without any scandals or big breakup news. All that noise that once made perfect sense to the emo kids of the 2000s was gone in a blink. Why does a band so vital suddenly vanish from its own soundtrack? You might have forgotten their name, but they never really left. Or maybe they were never meant to. This is the story of We Are the In Crowd, the band that disappeared from the charts, but never from the crowd. Poughkeepsie, New York, 2009. A handful of kids with a big dream and a hacked MySpace account. That's how it began. Tay Jardine, Jordan Eakes, Mike Ferry, Rob Cianelli, and Cameron Hurley. Names that didn't yet echo through Warped Tour crowds, but the internet found them, or rather stumbled upon them. When their MySpace was hacked, fans thought it was the end. Instead, it became the beginning. Hopeless Records noticed the sudden buzz, the chaotic comments, the flood of reposts, and saw something raw. Within months, the label signed them, giving the local band a stage much bigger than Poughkeepsie's dive bars. Their debut EP, Guaranteed to Disagree, released in 2010, was exactly what people needed. A combination of therapy and chaos. Dual vocals between Tay and Jordan created a wonderful melody that mirrored real teenage arguments. Heartbreak versus pride. Confusion versus clarity. Fans found themselves in those songs. And for the first time, a female-fronted pop-punk band wasn't just the exception, it was the topic of conversation. Their early tours felt like family road trips where fans waited after shows for hugs. Sharpie signatures smudged on wrists and lyrics scribbled on shoes. Tay's energy was an unfiltered emotion people adored. But the best part was, they weren't glossy or styled for radio. They were messy, human, loud. And that was exactly what the millennial generation loved. By the time they showed up at Warped Tour, everyone already knew them. That band with two singers who sounded like they were arguing their hearts out. It felt like they were singing straight out of your diary. But the thing about momentum, it doesn't always last forever. The next thing we know, Best Intentions was launched in 2011, which turned the band into a phenomenon. Rumor Mill took over MTV countdowns, and Kiss Me Again with Alex Gaskarth became every teen heartbreak anthem. They were the soundtrack to every message you ever sent. This was the golden era, filled with Tumblr edits, flannel selfies, and lyric tattoos that still haven't faded. Fans found themselves in their imperfections. Tay Jardine was more than a pop-punk idol. She was that friend who got it, the one who turned your depression into melody. Their tours across the UK and Warped marked them as underdog icons. They weren't Paramore, and they weren't trying to be. They were the bridge, half the humor of All Time Low, half the honesty of early Avril, and entirely their own thing. You can't beat that, can you? Every song from Best Intentions felt like a snapshot of youth. Late night texts, empty parking lots, heartbreak dressed in melody. The flannel, the eyeliner, the notebook lyrics, all felt like a movement. Critics started calling them the softer side of pop-punk, but fans disagreed. They were real, and real didn't need distortion pedals to scream louder. But even as their sound sharpened and production grew slicker, a shift was brewing in the background. The digital age was moving faster than the band could keep up. Streaming was rising. Trends were changing so fast before you could blink. So while WATIC's heart stayed true, the world around them was changing too. In 2014, they dropped Weird Kids, their most personal grown-up record yet. It wasn't just louder, it was louder about the truth. Manners, the best thing that never happened. Songs that carried heartbreak and healing in the same breath. Tay's vocals didn't beg to be heard anymore. They demanded it. Critics called it evolution. Fans called it honesty. But behind that new confidence, something was shifting. Pop punk was slipping off the charts. The radio stopped caring about vans and vulnerability. The world had moved on to EDM drops and mirrorball pop. And bands like WATIC were suddenly the ghosts of a genre they helped keep alive. The pressure to keep up hit like a silent storm. Tours slowed, studios went quiet. And by 2016, it was all silence. Tay Jardine started Saint, trying to paint in new colors, but every lyric still had a shadow of We Are the In crowd behind it. It was like trying to run from a ghost she'd created herself, one that still sang in her voice. Saint shimmered with pop gloss, but beneath the neon was the same heartbeat of youth, heartbreak, and defiance that refused to fade, no matter the name. They never announced a breakup, because maybe, deep down, they never really could. No one realized it then. Those final shows might have been the last time fans ever heard Tay and Jordan's voices collide live. The crowd chants softened, the lights dimmed, and just like that, the noise stopped. So why do We Are the In crowd still matter? Because they weren't chasing fame. Instead, they were chasing a feeling. That rush when a lyric hits a little too close. That ache that sounds exactly like you, but louder. Their songs weren't love stories. They were conversations between two sides of yourself. Tay and Jordan didn't sing at each other. They answered each other. It was heartbreak as dialogue. Emotion turned into echo. And Tay Jardine, she didn't need to scream to be heard. Her voice carried something rarer. Honesty. When she sang about feeling broken, it wasn't poetic. It was personal. You believed her. Their lyrics didn't hide behind metaphors or clever lines. They said the quiet parts out loud. We're all weird kids, Tay once said. And somehow, that became a rallying cry for everyone who ever felt out of place. And they didn't just make waves. They left fingerprints. You can still hear WATIC's DNA in bands like Against the Current, Stand Atlantic, and Yours Truly. That same fearless blend of melody and emotion. The kind that doesn't apologize for caring too much. And here's the twist. Gen Z just found them again. TikTok edits, playlist revivals, those songs being rediscovered by kids who weren't even born when Warped Tour peaked. The cycle isn't over, it's restarting. Because the truth is, We Are the In crowd never really left. They just became part of us, the soundtrack buried deep under our grown-up playlists. The sound of our growing pains, our comebacks, our what-ifs. And maybe that's exactly why they'll always matter. Years passed, but somehow the crowd never really left. When reunion rumors started spreading in the early 2020s, the internet erupted. Timelines filled with disbelief. Old usernames came back to life, and fans who hadn't posted in years suddenly remembered every lyric. Tay Jardine, now a respected name in alt-rock, dropped a few mysterious hints. And suddenly, fans became hopeful. Could it be? Was this the comeback everyone secretly waited for? Because pop punk wasn't dead. It was just recharging. Blink-182 returned. Avril Lavigne reclaimed her crown. Olivia Rodrigo tore open a new generation's wounds. And somewhere in that storm, We Are the In crowd started trending again. Gen Z is discovering what millennials once screamed at the top of their lungs. Old songs are finding new playlists, and the one you thought you'd outgrown hits just as hard. And then came Vegas. After nearly a decade away from the American stages, WATIC walked out under the desert lights at When We Were Young Fest, and the crowd lost it. Tay Jardine's voice hadn't aged a day, but her words hit differently now. The best thing that never happened wasn't just a breakup song anymore. It was a homecoming. Fans cried, laughed, screamed every word like it was 2012 again. That night proved something no chart ever could. Nostalgia isn't weakness, it's proof of impact. It's funny, the band you thought you left behind is now growing up with you. And as the emo revival crashes back into the mainstream, maybe the truth is simpler than we think. We never really forgot them. We just needed the noise to come back. Let's talk about the three songs that made us bang our heads against the wall. Rumor Mill. This is where it started. That punchy riff, that messy, glorious honesty. It's the anthem of youth and chaos, the sound of every rumor, heartbreak, and whispered confession that shaped our teenage years. The best thing that never happened was pure adrenaline, post-breakup empowerment in its rawest form. Tay Jardine doesn't just sing revenge. She redefines it, turning heartbreak into victory. This track is what every wall puncher and mirror screamer needed at 2 a.m. Manners was the grown-up chapter. The sound of realizing closure doesn't come with shouting. It comes with understanding. Manners shows how far they came, from garage pop rebellion to lyrical maturity. It's We Are the In Crowd, all grown up, but still unfiltered. And then came Windows in Heaven, the emotional curveball no one saw coming. It was about loss, a tribute to Tay's late father. The song stripped away the sarcasm and teenage anger, leaving only raw, trembling humanity. It proved they could make you cry just as easily as they could make you scream. And We Need a Break. Ironic name, right? Because even in their silence, this track became a prophecy. The lyrics hit differently now, almost like they knew what was coming. The hiatus, the heartbreak, the growing up. And if you only have time for one, make it Manners. It's everything they were, and everything they became. Maybe you haven't heard their name in years. Maybe you never stopped playing them. But if you ever screamed those lyrics alone in your room, you're part of this crowd. Because this isn't just about nostalgia. It's about remembering who we were when those songs first hit. Music like this doesn't fade. It waits to be reborn. And here's the truth. The world changed. Trends shifted. But those chords, they still hit the same. The eyeliner dried, but the feeling didn't. So, which WATIC song was your emo anthem? Drop it in the comments. Let's see who's still in the crowd. Because we are the in crowd, and maybe we always were. And if your heart still beats to pop punk, you're in the right place. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into your favorite bands and the stories behind them drop every week.